Okay, we've hit 300 people on the call, so we'll kick off now. Everyone, thank you so much for making the time for our webinar and presentation today. We've got some really exciting announcements to make about the next phase of the SCU journey, and we're really pleased to have you along with us, especially the journey you've been on with us throughout the years so far, as we've adopted StudyLink and we've worked together with SCU Ventures and moved into the new world. Before we kick off, I'll introduce a couple of colleagues on the call, starting with myself. So for those of you who don't know me, I'm Damon Ferris. I'm the Executive Director Global at Southern Cross University. My colleagues on the call here are Adam Roberts, who's the Vice President, Partnerships with SCU Ventures, our metro campuses. Narisu, who many of you know is our Senior Management Manager of International Student Recruitment. And we also have some colleagues from other parts of the uni. We've got Danny, who's our recruiter for emerging and diversity markets. We've got Catherine and Julia from admissions, and we've got John, who works with Adam over in Ventures and helps us with our systems and CRMs and processes and all that sort of stuff. We're really lucky to have these colleagues on the call. I hope I haven't missed anyone. I can't see the whole list because of the format of a Zoom call. Yeah, we're really excited to have you today. We've got a big announcement about Access25. It's going to transform the way we work with you for the better, provide tremendous transparency, simplification, and clarity. And we're really excited about that. A little bit of housekeeping before I throw to Adam. So today we'll be going straight into the announcement of some of the details for our Access25 program. After which we'll have a brief update on some of the agent training content that we need to get through. And then finally at the end, there'll be plenty of time for Q&A. And I'm sure there'll be plenty of questions that arise from the presentations. If you could put your Q&A questions into the Q&A section at the bottom of the screen there, rather than in the chat, we'll be able to access them that way towards the back half of the session today. Without any further ado, I'll throw to Adam to go straight into the Access25. Thanks, Adam. Over to you.
All right. Thank you, Damon, and good afternoon, everyone. Let me see if I can drive my computer machine in the right way here. All right, just checking that presentation is coming through. Is that visible? Give me a thumbs up. Yep. All right, we got thumbs up and nods. Good one. Okay, so as Damon said, welcome everyone. Very excited to be here today announcing what is going to be a truly revolutionary idea for Southern Cross University. We think it's going to help you recruit more international students in and access the excellent courses of the university. Now, you'll notice here that it says on the slide that this is a pre-launch. We're actually giving you some information about the launch that's going to start next week. At this stage, we're not putting out any marketing materials publicly. All of that's being prepared, but we're going live with the launch next Monday, the 14th of October. So we're just giving you a little bit of a preview of what's coming and what's going to happen. So just first of all, just to recap on Southern Cross University and what we're known for around the world, I think all of you are aware that we've got excellent graduate placement rates. Between 91% and 94% of our graduates are going into work in their fields. We're consistently ranked in the top 100 young universities in the world. We have research excellence recognition, and probably one of the most impressive awards that Southern Cross has received recently is being the most improved university in the QS rankings in the region. A lot of that has got to do with the Southern Cross model, which is the way that we teach our international students. It allows them to focus on just 2 units at the same time, rather than traditional 4 units. As a result of that, we've got very high pass rates, and we're also ranked consistently is having the best international student support across Australia and Australian universities. So I think everyone recognises that Southern Cross has got some great outcomes for international students that come and study with us. So what we're announcing now is designed to help even more international students come and access the excellent courses and support services we have at Southern Cross University. We're going to introduce a very radical simplification of the way that international students are charged tuition fees across the university. So at the moment, most of you would be aware that every course at Southern Cross University can have a different tuition fee. There's a different range of scholarships available for students. They can be based on their GPA, they can be based on their nationality, they can change as a student progresses through their course, depending on their results. As a result of that, it can be quite difficult for students to plan ahead. So, for example, their tuition fees might go up or down each year, depending on how their grades go or other factors. And because of that, it's quite difficult for students and our agent partners to plan ahead for students. Combined with that, I think everyone is very aware that it's becoming more expensive to study abroad. The visa fees have recently more than doubled for students. Accommodation, food, transport is all very expensive. So Southern Cross has decided to introduce this new program to help students deal with all of those challenges that they face out there in the market. So the name of this program is Access25, and it applies to all international students' tuition fees for the coming calendar year of 2025. So what the university will be introducing is what we call a unified tuition fee. So all international students at the university will have a tuition fee set at $25,000 for the calendar year 2025. Now that applies to all new international students as well as all continuing international students. So there's about close to 200 different courses available at Southern Cross. It applies to all of them except for 3 that are excluded. So we have the Masters of Nursing, that's already full for next year. We have the new Veterinary Technology course, which we don't have flexibility on the fees, so that's excluded. And also at this stage, the hotel school and their courses are not included in this initiative. Some of them are already more affordable than $25,000. So just to reiterate how the fees are going to change next year, all new and continuing international students will have their tuition fee set at $25,000, excluding those 3 programs that I mentioned before. Now, we think that's got a number of benefits for our students. So firstly, they'll be able to plan exactly how much they pay even before they've applied. At the moment, they need to wait to see if they get a scholarship. And if they're already studying with us, they don't know how much their fees are going to be for the next year. And that solves that problem. It means that we can get faster turnaround time for our offers because we've simplified the process for turning an application into an offer. And it also allows students and yourselves to plan ahead more effectively because the tuition fees are locked in and they're all at that unified rate of $25,000. So in terms of how it's going to work for our students, as I mentioned before, apart from those 3 courses that are excluded, it will apply to all new students. So that's commencing students and continuing students. So for example, if a student has already started this year, maybe term 3, or they're going to start in term 5, once they progress on to the next year of their course in 2025, their tuition fees will be adjusted to be $25,000. Now, starting from Monday next week, this new tuition fee will be applied to all new offer letters that go out for students. For any students that already have an offer letter, the university will be reissuing them. So at the moment, we estimate that for the metro campuses, Sydney, Melbourne, Perth, that will happen by the middle of next week. For the main campuses, Lismore, Coffs Harbour, Gold Coast, it could take approximately 3 weeks. If you do have an offer letter and you'd like it to be revised more quickly, please just jump into StudyLink and send a note to admissions through that system, and then they can prioritize it from there. So this has a big impact on scholarships because we're using a unified tuition fee across all of the different courses, and we're actually reducing the tuition fee by about 25% across the university. That means that scholarships now become redundant. So you won't anymore see a tuition fee of say $33,000 or $36,000 minus a scholarship equals that. There'll now just be the lower flat unified tuition fee. So as a result of this process, scholarships will no longer be used by the university. In terms of which campuses it applies to the main campuses and the metro campuses. So that's Lismore, Gold Coast, Melbourne, Sydney, Perth, and Coffs Harbour. As I mentioned before, it doesn't apply to the hotel school campuses at this stage. Now, we are implementing this with the view that no student currently in the system will be worse off. So if a student has already paid a deposit for next year and their deposit is at a higher rate, we won't go through the process of refunding their fees, but that student, their fees will be brought to $25,000 by being given a credit as they progress on through the course. So if you have a student who's already paid for next year, their fees will be set to $25,000 and they'll receive a credit to make sure that they pay $25,000 next year. Now, any new students that start next year or students that progress on to 2026, we're going to use the same system as we currently do to change their fees. So at the moment, any student at Southern Cross, their fees go up by a set percentage each year. It can be 2%, 5%, 7%. Southern Cross is going to be indexing the fees. So in 2026, they will go up. We won't know exactly how much that's going to be until around about the middle of next year, but it will mean that every student on Southern Cross will have their tuition fees go up by the same amount, which is the same process for continuing students at the moment at the university. So in terms of what happens from here and how this is going to roll out, so today is Wednesday. Next Monday, the Access25 website will go live, and you can see the web address there, scu.edu.au/access25. We're currently revising our marketing material, so we'll have new flyers and brochures and banners progressively ready to go from there. From Monday, we'll also start issuing new offer letters with the fees and reissuing any existing offer letters with the fees as well. And you'll also notice that our website will start changing from tomorrow. So the new tuition fees will start appearing on the website from Thursday this week, and that'll be progressively updated. So just to recap, in case anyone joined us a bit late there, we're rolling out the initiative for 2025, where all new students and continuing international students will have a flat tuition fee of $25,000 per year introduced. That represents around about a 25% discount on our published tuition fees at the moment. And it means that it will help international students understand how much they have to pay. It will help make the university more affordable, but with all of the great outcomes we offer for students, we think that we are probably the best value and have the best ROI of any public university in Australia. So we're looking forward to your support. I think there will be a lot of questions, but we will answer them at the end of the session today. Next, we're going to have Narisu join us, and she's going to run us through some compliance. If you do have any questions, please put them in the Q&A for the webinar there, and we'll jump into them later. So thanks, everyone. I'll hand over to Narisu.
Thank you, Adam. Just going to share my screen. You can see the screen. There's a thumbs up if you can. All right. So the next part of the webinar might feel a bit tedious because you have probably attended compliance talks from many other universities. But I'll try and include some examples and anecdotes to make it a little bit more relevant and digestible. All right, next slide. So it is a TEXA requirement that we conduct this session at least once a year, and all our agents attend. This will only take about 10 minutes to go through, so please stay on. And during my talk, please type in all of your questions on the Access25 fees and scholarship changes. You can also vote on questions that others post. And while you're doing that, I'll quickly go over your obligations as an agent and all the relevant laws and regulations, as well as the minimum standards. So this slide is on agency agreement. All agents must have a current agreement under Standard 4, which we will discuss in a little bit more details later. A common issue we have is that the agents sometimes forget to return the countersigned agreement to us, meaning that the agreement is never officially in place. Please also be aware that once an agreement expires, agents are no longer authorized to advertise or promote the university in any form. So to avoid any interruptions to your applications, please reach out for a renewal or review at least a month before your agreement is due to expire. The good news is I believe all of your agreements are valid for 5 years with a bulk expiry in 2029, for 5 years from now. So here's a list of all the relevant laws and regulations. The links are included. The links are in the slide. These links, and we will send it to you all. This slide to you after the webinar. And in the next few slides, I'll go through each one of them in a bit more details. The ASOS Act. So it is an Australian law designed to protect the rights of the international students by ensuring they receive a high standard of education and safeguarding their interests. The key components include student rights and support and tuition protection and compliance requirements. The Act mandates that students receive accurate course information, have access to support services, and are informed of their rights and responsibilities. So the National Code, it is a legislative framework that supplements the ASOS Act by setting minimum standards. The key standards that I've highlighted them here in yellow: Standard 1, Standard 4, and Standard 7, which I'll discuss, talk through now. So the Standard 1 is on marketing practices. In a sense, institutions must provide accurate and clear information to students before enrollment and ensure all the marketing practices are not misleading or deceptive. Since you're all of our agents, this standard applies to you as well. So this marketing standard include, for example, not promising any migration outcome to students, not providing false information to students, and also using the correct name of the university. That's just an example. So for instance, we are not the University of Southern Cross. We are certainly not Southern Cruz University. There's a University of Santa Cruz University in America, but people get those confused. And we need to use the correct price course registered name, Southern Cross University. You must also ensure that all the information is up to date. For instance, we sometimes still see partners using our old logo, old course fees, or advertising discontinued courses. Please make sure that you're using the current branding and materials, which should be accessible to you at all times. The Standard 4 is the next one. So it focuses on education agents and outlines the requirements for providers when working with them. We as a provider need to ensure that the agents engage ethically and transparently, and always act in the best interest of the students. Essentially, this holds both providers and agents accountable for our recruitment practices. Key points include things like having formal written agreement, which I've discussed, and regularly monitoring agent activities and addressing any cases of misconduct. Sometimes when we issue warnings, it's not to be punitive or being nasty, just because the standard 4 requires us to take actions when necessary. So for example, after the Access25 release next Monday, if anybody, including ourselves, is still advertising our old scholarship, it could potentially be a breach of standard 4. But we're obviously going to give you some time to update your promotion materials and all those. The next one is on standard 7. It's about provider transfers. You know this one well. We talk about letter of release a lot, and this requirement exists because of the standard 7, which ensures that the students are not transferred between providers without proper approvals. We are aware that some less reputable private providers often issue COEs before a student's initial 6 months period is complete and without a letter of release. Those kind of actions have serious breaches of standard 7. We obviously would never do that. So another issue we sometimes have is when a student have a letter of release but not officially released in prisms. In such cases, we still can't enroll the student until the release is properly updated in the system. And also the poaching student who have just started or have not yet commenced their principal course is a major concern. And it would put providers at the risk of violating standard 7. So for context, the reason that our admissions team quite often requires COEs and the visas and all the current, all this documentation is not to be difficult. It is because we want to be compliant. Okay, almost at the end, bear with me. The Agent Code of Ethics. So it is, this one is a set of guidelines developed to complement the standard 4 on education agents, the slide, 2 slides before. It is designed to protect the reputation of the entire Australian international education sector. So to give you some example, exaggerating the benefit of a course, such as employment prospect or potential migration outcome, is not only ethical, but it could also be potentially unlawful under the Australian consumer law. So similarly, charging students special fees, for example, for services that are normally provided for free is unethical, at least. Just to give you an example, during my last trip to Philippines 2 weeks ago, I found out that one of our agents was charging student an application fee, which we do not charge. This is something that we need to address with the agent to make sure that ethical conduct is there. So that's just an example. So the last slide is on Modern Slavery Act. This law is there to combat exploitation. We know that. You know that the international students are particularly vulnerable to these kind of practices, and education. As an education provider and agents, we must ensure that we are not associated with any form of exploitation. For example, if you are offered incentive for referring students to jobs that pay significantly below the minimum wage, where their passports or their wages or their visa sponsorships are withheld, this could have serious legal and reputational implications for not just you, also for us as well. I think that's probably all. Just to conclude, I personally use the term duty of care a lot because it captures all of the above. And when we prioritize the best interest of our students and are committed to protecting their rights and well-being, I think we contribute to a very positive outcome for everyone. That's all from me. I hope it's not too patronizing and boring. Now it's the time for Q&A, so I'll hand it back over to you, Adam. All yours.
Thanks, Narisu. So we're starting to get a good flow of questions coming through. If you go into the Q&A, you'll see that some of them have already been answered there. So I'll just run through some of the answers that we've already typed in as we've gone back there. So there was a question asking, will the Graduate Diploma of Education course also be $25,000? The answer is yes. All courses across the university, across campuses, will be $25,000, with the exception of the Master of Nursing, Bachelor of Veterinary Technology, and the hotel school courses. All other courses for 2025 will have the tuition fee set at $25,000. So that's what we mean by a unified tuition fee. There a lot of questions about deposits. People are asking, how much is the deposit to get a COE? Usually a deposit for offshore students is one semester's fees. So if at the moment a student was paying $30,000 tuition fees, usually the tuition deposit would be $15,000. With the tuition fees going to $25,000, the deposit would drop down to $12,500. So we're using the same structure of deposits, but in some cases the amount will be less because the tuition fees are less in there as well. There's a question from Sujata who asks, if an offer letter's already been issued, will those offer letters be reissued by Monday? With the increased tuition fee, the offer letters will be reissued starting from Monday, but it will be a decreased tuition fee. So looking at the published prices, we're reducing the tuition fees by approximately 25%. So I'm not sure if that was a typo, but the tuition fees will be reduced across the board. For any student that's already in the system, they will not be disadvantaged through this program. So their fees won't increase as they go through. A couple of other questions have come through here. Someone has asked, will there be a fee increase for 2025? The answer is no. For 2025, we'll have the flat tuition fee of $25,000. For 2026, the tuition fees will be indexed. So they'll be raised, usually by a few percent, and that's what currently happens. Every current student with Southern Cross, their tuition fees are raised each year, they're indexed upwards. The same thing will happen, but the plan is to keep them on a unified tuition fee. So independent of what course they're in, they'll have the same tuition fee across all of the courses. There's a question there about deposits, and someone has noted that there's a difference for onshore students between Ventures, Melbourne, Sydney, Perth, and main campus, saying that someone's charging one semester, someone's charging 2 semesters. I believe in the last couple of days that has now been combined, and we have the same deposits for onshore students. So that problem should have already been solved. If you have any questions, please get in touch with your regional manager and they'll be able to sort that out. There's a couple of questions there about, can we accept income from jewellery contractors? We won't cover that in this webinar today. That's talking about genuine student and financial capacity. It's better that you either check the online admissions guide or check with your regional manager who can ask that question. Going through the remainder of the questions there, there was a question about the deadline for term 1 next year, and for offshore students, Furbu has kindly answered, it's the 3rd of January. So you still have a few months to submit your applications for term 1 next year. There's a question from Shahaila about previous visa refusals. We have an answer from admissions, John Crowder, who's mentioned that it's not an automatic refusal or rejection on our side, but we will look at it case by case and the reasons for the reasons for that. We've got a question from Shalu asking about will the scholarship is already deducted in the offer. Okay, so Shalu, just to re-emphasize, with the move to a $25,000 tuition fee, scholarships become redundant. We've reduced the overall tuition fee for international students for next year by about 25%, which means that we don't need scholarships anymore. Every student in every course will automatically go onto a $25,000 tuition fee, with the exception of the 3 courses that we mentioned before. All right. There's a question there about, will the excluded programs have any scholarships available? For example, Master of Nursing. Master of Nursing is already full, so there's no places there. The other programs, veterinary technology, no, the tuition fees for that are already set. And the hotel school, the answer is yes, there's already scholarships available for the hotel school, and they can give you information on them. Okay. Another question from Sai. As the tuition fee is $25,000, will the scholarship be issued for a student based on GPA? The answer is no. Any student starting a new course or continuing with SCU for next year, their tuition fee will be $25,000. There is no scholarships anymore. Not needed. They're redundant. So the fees will just be $25,000. Narisu, can you see any other questions there that you think we might need to answer?
Yeah, I will take a quick look. Apologies.
Yeah. There is a question there. Zainab has asked about a student that has an offer letter whose tuition fees are lower than $25,000. If that's the case, that student will not be disadvantaged. They will be given a credit by the university. So we will honour any offers out there that are lower than $25,000. We've had a look at the pipeline, and there is an extremely small number of students in that situation. Almost all students will have their fees reduced as a result of this program. Sorry, Narisu, back to you there.
Yeah, I think you've answered this question. There's a student with $8,000 scholarships.
Okay.
But the fees will be less, in which case the fees will be less than 25,000. Now with the Access 25, I think the fees will increase. You've already done that one.
Yeah.
A lot of people have been answering the questions live. So some of those questions are not really related to Access 25. So I'm just going to skip through. Everyone, please ask questions on the Access 25 rather than any GSR related questions, because this webinar is all about Access 25 and the tuitions and scholarship changes. There's a question asking, can you explain how Access 25 changes for tuition fees will be related to the scholarship for international students? Again, another.
Yeah. I can answer that again. So with the introduction of a unified fee of $25,000, scholarships will no longer be necessary. $25,000 is approximately a 25% reduction in the published tuition fees for next year. So by introducing that as a flat fee for all international students, except for the excluded courses, scholarships are no longer necessary. Every student will automatically be given tuition fees of $25,000. There's a question there about the indicative ISP of SCU. I think that's a question about caps, and Southern Cross has had the proposed cap, like every other institution, circulated out there publicly. You can look up what that is. Southern Cross is quite lucky. Some other universities and institutions have very restrictive caps. They've had to halt recruitment. They've had to withdraw offer letters. Southern Cross is not in that situation. We are out there looking for more good quality students to come and study with us. So we highly encourage you to apply and get your application submitted through StudyLink. At this point, we need your help to fill our cap for next year.
Thank you. There's another question. Could you please confirm the minimum course fee for the package program, starting with the graduate diploma package with Master of Teaching?
Yeah. So what is confirmed at this stage is the 2025 tuition fees. So if the graduate diploma commenced in 2025, it would be $25,000. The university is yet to confirm the 2026 fees. So it would be based on a combination of the $25,000 for 2025 and whatever the 2026 fee is going to be, which is still to be announced by the university.
Yep, there's another question. Is the unified fee of 25,000 is for both undergraduate and postgraduate courses?
That's correct. It applies to undergraduate and postgraduate. It applies to all campuses, all faculties, all year levels. So if a student's in the first, second, or third year, the only courses excluded are the Master of Nursing, the Bachelor of the Hotel School.
Next question. In summary, what is the advantage of Access25 to prospective international students?
Okay, that's from my friend Lasisi in Nigeria. Hello, how are you? So there's a couple of advantages. So first of all, it means that any prospective international student knows how much they're going to pay at Southern Cross next year. They don't have to apply to see if they get a scholarship or not. So that means that they can plan their study, they can plan their finances. It means that any continuing student knows exactly how much they're going to pay for next year as well, which is important because, as we all know, the cost of living is going up. Things like student visa fees are going up, and students need as much help as they can to plan. It means overall that Southern Cross will be reducing the tuition fee for our programs for next year by about 25% off the currently promoted tuition fees for all of the courses except the excluded ones. So it means as an agent, it's very, very simple for you to go out and promote Southern Cross. It's a proposition that students can understand. It gives them certainty, and it'll help attract students who are looking for the best value, best ROI public university in Australia. So Lasisi, I hope that answered your question.
Thanks, Adam. Just to reinstate that, I think scholarships, it's not really guaranteed for the second year or third year, but with the tuition fee, cut-off tuition fee, essentially all the students are getting scholarships, this generic scholarship for all the duration of their studies. So it gives the students a lot more financial guarantee. They know how much they're going to be spending in the next 3 years. Yeah. Thanks, Adam. I think we can move on to the next question. And it's also going to be a lot easier for you to remember. All of our courses are going to be 25,000, pretty much. Undergraduate, postgraduate, everything. I think there was another question. Can you, Adam, can you please confirm if the August and October intake student will remain the same fee structure, or if they will receive the revised offer for 25,000 per year under the new Access25 program? They students have either paid one semester's fee or 2 units fee, and their courses expected to continue into the next year. It's a good question.
Yeah. So for any student that's starting this year in 2024, so they may have started in term 4 or term 5, they're going to start in term 5. There's a chance that their tuition fees will actually be reduced as they move into their second year next year. So if they've already paid a deposit they won't get a refund, but the university will be giving them a credit, so they only pay $25,000 next year. So if they've studied with us for, say, half a year this year, as they move into next year, their tuition fees will be set at the $25,000. So for a lot of students, ongoing students, their tuition fees will actually be reduced as they move into their the second or third year of their program next year.
Next question. Does the Access25 tuition applies to only for the first year for the new students? What will be their second year fee for postgraduate and second and third year of their undergraduate?
Yeah, so I'll just go back to this slide here with some details of the program. So as I mentioned before, all new students, all continuing students will go onto a $25,000 fee for 2025, with the exception of Master of Nursing, Bachelor of Vet Tech, and Hotel School. For 2026, all students that are continuing on will have their fees indexed upwards. They're usually indexed upwards by a couple or a few % each year. And that's the same process that the university currently uses for international students. So for 2026, a new unified tuition fee will be announced. We won't know exactly what that is until middle of next year, which is the usual process that Southern Cross has been following.
Is that up to 5%? I'm not sure if that's an accurate information, but I think my understanding is up to 5%. So from 2026, the fees possibly going to be about around 26,000, and so on.
That's not confirmed yet. It won't be confirmed until next year.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. Apologies for that. So just to a lot of people are asking about scholarships. Still. All scholarships are essentially abolished. But if you look at for instance, if you look at our Bachelor of Engineering on our website, the current course tuition fee is 36,000 Australian dollar. From Monday next week, it's going to be 25,000. So the students will be receiving 11,000 scholarship just on the Bachelor of Engineering. So that's a huge discount. And for the whole, pretty much for the whole duration. Next question. We have a student with GS approval invoiced to pay one semester tuition fee of 12,480. One semester tuition fee will be 12,500 with the new rule. What will happen now as the invoices has already been created?
So high level, if the student's up to the offer stage, you can request to have that offer revised. If the payment has already gone through, a refund will not be organised, but that student will have a credit applied to their fee so that they'll only pay the $25,000 for next year. So the difference is if the student's already paid, then they'll have a credit applied. If they haven't paid, you can request a new offer letter, and you need to do that through StudyLink. So please communicate directly through StudyLink for your applications.
Next one. Can student pay semester fee or should pay annual fee 25,000 all at once?
Yeah, so there's no change to the time period that a student would need to pay. It's however much students are currently charged. It's usually one semester in advance. That same process will stay in place for students. It won't be affected directly by this program.
Next one. Will the excluded programs have any scholarships available? For example, Master of Nursing.
Yeah, okay. So the Master of Nursing is full for 2025. That's no longer an issue for that course. For the Bachelor of Veterinary Technology, the fees are published already, and they can't be changed. For the Hotel School, the answer is yes. They already have scholarships available for their undergrad and postgrad programs, and there's no change to the Hotel School scholarships. They remain in place.
Next one. Sorry, just to confirm, So the October this year intake course fee will stay as current.
Correct. 2024 fees will not change as a result of this program.
I think we are pretty much at the end of, there's a very long question, the very last one.
Yep, I can see that, Narisu. So there's an example there of a student who may have had tuition fees that were slightly lower under a scholarship. So for any student that's already in the system, they will not be disadvantaged by this program. So all you need to do is contact admissions and request for an offer letter, an updated offer letter to be reissued. And that student will be able to retain the fees that they've already been offered. So any student currently in the system, their tuition fees will not go up as a result of this announcement.
I think that's all the questions that there's there. So we can wait for another couple of minutes to see if there are more questions. Otherwise, we can wrap up and give everyone their 10 minutes back.
Yeah, so just to wrap up, just to give a another quick overview of what this means. So for 2025, all new and continuing students at Southern Cross, international students, will have their tuition fees set to $25,000. Scholarships are no longer necessary because we're already discounting the published fees by about 25%. It covers all Southern Cross campuses from Lismore, Gold Coast, Melbourne, Sydney, Perth, Coffs Harbour. There are 3 courses excluded. There's a Master of Nursing, which is full, Bachelor of Veterinary Technology, and the Hotel School. But the Hotel School already run their own scholarship program, and there's no change to that. If any offers are out there with lower fees, they will be offered. So no student currently in the system will be disadvantaged by this. And as these students progress through into 2026, they'll have their tuition fees indexed. So they'll go up slightly. It's usually by a few percent, and that will be announced in the middle of next year. So we think this is a really exciting opportunity. It's something that's very easy for you to promote and explain to your international students. We think it'll give more students the opportunity to come and study with Southern Cross. And we're very excited to launch this from next week. The website will go live on the 14th of October. You can see the web address there. That's also when we're going to start reissuing all of the current offers. It will take a few weeks for all the offers to be reissued. So if you need one quickly, please contact admissions through StudyLink. So we look forward to circulating all of our updated marketing material with you pretty soon, but otherwise we think this is a pretty exciting initiative. So Narisu and Damon, I'll hand back to you to wrap up.
Wonderful. Thanks, Adam. Thanks, Narisu. Thanks, colleagues, for your time on the call. This is a really exciting initiative, and we're really excited to be working with you on it. Big things to come for 2025. Thanks, everyone. You can have 10 minutes of your day back. Take care. Bye.
Thanks all.